In this video, I'm introducing the brand new Madison's Lumber Prices Index. Hello, all. Kenna Kosman, publisher of Madison's Lumber Reporter. This company was established in 1952 by Peter Madison. I'm the third owner. I was hired in 2003 and I took over in 2008 when my boss, Lawrence Cater, retired. We have some very excellent news to announce for today, that we have started a new lumber price index. A lot of people are looking for insight into what is happening with the lumber market, but it's too complicated. The 500 individual softwood lumber and panel commodity prices that we track every week, 50 times a year, for someone who's not in the industry or specifically in home building, it's too much information and difficult to understand and analyze. People ask me all the time, why isn't there just one thing I can do, like the WTI Brent or copper prices or something like that? So what has happened is there is a change to the lumber futures. If you've been seeing my last couple of videos, I've talked about that a little bit. Now, this new lumber futures is widening out the species mix used in that trading. Western spruce, which is what the previous lumber futures was, now also Eastern spruce and Douglas fir and hemp fir. So what I've done is taken those four species, the prices every week, which we use the benchmark 2x4 number 2 and better, and weighted it based on the production and sales volumes of each of those species over the past few years. Okay, and so pretty straightforward. The list of the lumber species and items is the same as what's on the futures now. Western spruce, Eastern spruce, kiln-dried Douglas fir, and hemp fir inland 2x4s, standard and better or number 2 and better. And the weighting is the column on the right. So the price weekly for the Western spruce, that is weighted 64%, Eastern spruce 27%, kiln-dried Douglas fir 7%, and hemp fir inland 2%. And those ratios are then averaged together. So every week the index is updated using the individual prices for all of these items according to this weighted average that you're looking at. And that provides a simple way to see what's going on with the market behind the scenes, robust inputs into there, but as a viewer, less complicated than trying to understand the correlation between all of those prices interacting with each other and what's happening with each one. So it's one number, one price for every week, which is very similar to what the new futures trading is. Now, the issue for a lot of people is that's very nice that the Chicago Mercantile Exchange brought lumber futures, modernized it, turned it into something more representative of what goes on in the market right now, but there's no history. How can you make any kind of analysis of something that's happening right now if you don't have the history to look back on? Generally speaking, people compare lumber price trend changes to housing starts, GDP, they look at interest rates, what is the exchange rate. A lot of macroeconomic indicators against lumber tells you what is going on in the market and potentially what to expect, because, the macroeconomic condition is studied a lot by a lot of very smart people. And so the Madison's Lumber Prices Index has the history going back to 1952, because we've been tracking specifically those four species and sizes, but everything. And so what I did was I went as far back as 2013. So I've got one graph representing 2013 to 2019, and then another graph representing 2019 to present. And it shows a very good balanced indication of what's going on in the market that people can use independently or in correlation with lumber futures and the other macroeconomic indicators that come out from the government to make their assessment of what's going on in the market. So let's have a look at the graphs. It's Very exciting. I'm so pleased to be able to do this. And I'll come back after to just explain a little bit more. Beauty. Okay, and so here we have, it's so exciting, that index of those for the weighted average prices showing historical from 2015 to 2019. And you can see how generally those prices moderated between, let's say, $300 per thousand board feet all the way up to almost 700, which was in the middle part of 2018. Folks who've been watching my videos or reading the website for a long time know that 2018 was a good year for home building, and that price that we see, that high at the time, was all-time historical high. Of course, that's been blown away completely by what we had in the crazy times of 2020, 2021, and first bit of last year. Then 2019 was quite slow for home building. So these lines are sort of very good indication of historical pre-COVID and all those incredible highs and the volatility that, frankly, is not expected to be seen again. Okay, and so then here we have 2019 to 2023 this year. 2023 being that pale blue line that only extends to week number 20. Very close to last year and very close to 2019. And so going forward, this gives a very robust and accurate view of where we are in comparison to where we were. What are the circumstances that we're in, right now as I'm talking about May, or potentially going forward into the future, compared to the circumstances that we had and what that meant, for example, for in housing or the economy in general, and definitely what that meant for the lumber market and lumber prices. When people are looking for one place to go, one indicator to look at to be able to have an overview of what's going on with the lumber market and prices, this is simple, but behind the scenes includes the most important parts and can be correlated to what is now lumber futures. Okay, and so you see what I mean, right? My regular viewers will know that, once a month I do an update of the housing market and lumber prices, U.S. housing starts, and new home sales. I will be in the future using the index instead of the three benchmark commodity items, Western spruce, Eastern spruce, and Southern pine 2x4s that I've been using in the past. So it'll just be a much simpler graph to look at. Boom, you can understand what's going on. The lumber prices, of course, are ahead because we report weekly for that week, whereas the housing starts and almost all of the other macroeconomic data reports monthly for the previous month. So if you like what you see here, click like so this video will get recommended to other viewers. If you haven't already, subscribe here on YouTube so you'll be notified when I make another update. If you need more, go on my website, have a look around, read what we put on the blog, have a look at our products, the different data and analysis that we cover, and reach out to us at the office. We will be happy to talk to you more. We're going to be putting this Madison's Lumber Prices Index into news feeds, and hopefully in the future, as it gains popularity, into the trading terminals, so that on Monday mornings people will be able to just click a button and see what is going on with the lumber market.